quick segue? It reminds me of
Uh-huh.
it reminds me of all the people talking about emo Batman,
Emo Batman
emo Bruce
and
Wayne.
emo Bruce Wayne.
That's a
Listen,
problem. It's a problem in the community apparently.
I'm not I am not against emo Bruce Wayne. I think I think Robert Pattinson did a pretty good job as Batman.
Yeah.
I feel like Bruce Wayne is a hard character to nail because I think over the years Batman gets a bit more characterization than Bruce Wayne ever does. At least outside unless you actually like sit down and like read the comics or
Yeah.
watch,
Yeah.
uh you don't really hear a lot of Bruce Wayne. And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't make the distinction that these are two separate characters, or rather two separate sides of the same character.
Hmm.
And it's hard to nail that. And I honestly don't think that it's not even a problem with the characters or with the actors' depiction, but I think
Hmm.
a lot of directors just tend to focus more on, oh, we need the guy in the bat suit. We need Batman, and then they cast for Batman, but they cast for Bruce Wayne second. You know,
Yeah. Well,
like they're looking at the guy's jaw first, and then okay, we'll put a bat head on him. Okay, does it look good? Okay, does rest of his face look good? Okay, he's Batman. And you know what? Robert Pattinson's jaw looks good in that bat suit. I'll be honest.
it does. I mean, it does. You can't really.
Fine. That's a nice strong jaw.
But I, I mean, I can't argue. But I mean, on to the Bruce Wayne point, I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess the one thing, like the one, like looking back at all of the movies, because if we're gonna talk about the comic books, that's like it's not really that's not really a discussion because the comic books is the source materials, and we can just it's just up to the. But even in the movies, it's kind of like similar sense in the comic books where like it's up to like it just happens to be that everyone's that's directing it, they all lean towards that psyche of the actual Batman instead of the psyche of Bruce and like how that is actually like probably where some of his mental issues is probably also a part of because he's really putting on a mask and it's something that a lot of us do. um
Mhm.
and that's why like I when people were complaining about like this Bruce and saying like, oh, he's not really Bruce, he's not Bruce because we don't see his Bruce Wayne do philanthropy work or we don't see him do this, that, and the other. They start naming things, but to me, I like when I hear that stuff, it just got me like liking the movie a little bit even more because we did see the philanthropy stuff in the Christopher Nolan movie, and we saw Bruce Wayne do stuff at least in the Christopher Nolan movies, um, more so than the Tim Burton movies or the other ones. Uh, but in this one, it was just they made it clear in the movie that it was year two, and even in year two, like Bruce, he just didn't like he just didn't want to do anything, like point blank period. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't Bruce, and I think that's like the distinguishment there is like there's Blue Bruce Wayne the philanthropist, there's actual Bruce Wayne, and then there's Batman. But people don't see the three. They just see two. They just see Bruce Wayne the philanthropist and Batman. But when Bruce was talking like serious to Alfred in like the house and stuff, and he was just talking to him, I was just like, well, you wanted what? Huh? I'm like, that's Bruce Wayne.
Right,
I'm like,
right,
read the fucking comics. That's literally him. He doesn't. He's not gonna never brood. I'm like, have you not read it? He barely talks in the comics too. I'm like, most of the him talking in the comics is narration, depending on who writes it. But most of the time, it's narration. It's like, oh, Dark Knight. I found this clue, and it's the only reason why he talks is because Jim Gordon brings him out of the light. His Bat family gets him out of his comfort zone all the time. And that's the thing I think I hope we get is a little bit to see the Bat family grow a little bit. But
right.
that's something I guess the director will come to figure out himself. But yeah, I mean, I did see like the whole like complaints about that and like the his Bruce Wayne not being Bruce, but it was like I could understand it because we're so conditioned to Bruce Wayne being like that figure, like that person to take on his good two-shoed parents' work, and I get
Right.
it, but that's not. the only Bruce that exists. I'm like, that's not.
I think the idea of like getting an early in the year or early in the career Batman story where you still see that Bruce Wayne struggling with the identity of like distinguishing, like, putting on his mask of the philanthropist and putting on the mask of the vigilante,
Hmm.
um just kind of fighting with that and just trying to do it by himself in the beginning of the movie.
Hmm.
um I think that's an interesting take on it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't really have any complaints on the whole Bruce Wayne thing. I think that Robert Pattinson did pretty good.
Mm.
And, I actually, you know, I think his Batman's pretty good also. I watched a clip of like Christian Bale's
Oh
Batman
God.
just the other day, and it to be fair, it was a clip from Batman Begins, and
Mm.
it's just Christian Bale just going, this idiot needs, and it's like, oh god, he didn't need to go that deep, you know.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah. I
from that, just that one specific thing where like Robert Pattinson's voice can just get deep without having to sound all gravelly. Already
Dude,
put already
it's
gets
so,
1 point extra.
it's so.
Whatever point I was giving Christian Bale, Rob Pat just gets one higher just because I can understand him.
Well, the crazy thing is, the voice actor of Batman does that. Like, Kevin Conroy does that in the
It's
animated
just his
series. It's
voice.
like,
It's
yeah,
just his voice.
I'm like, why is it so hard for actors to get this? And so I'm like, when Robert Pattinson did it, and he like also mentioned it in it, because I was going bat nuts, dude. When this movie was coming out, I was going bat nuts. I'm like, dude. And so I got into all the interviews and stuff, as one does before the movie comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw one interview with him where he was like, we don't know if it was he was I don't know if he was actually telling the truth because apparently he lies, but but he said he's like, I like my Bruce is like my bat not Bruce, my Batman, it's like Bruce is trying having a difficult time finding that voice. Like it's like a voice that's there, but sometimes it'll drop off. Sometimes it'll go in a different key because he's like, oh shit, and then he doesn't realize it. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of neat. I'm like, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
neat because at least you, as an actor, you force your. Because I'm like, I assume I like put myself in those positions. I'm like, well, yeah, I assume if you want to take this role, you want to find something interesting with the character. At least when you're instead of just like standing there, being that mythical bat, you can do something differently. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was neat. I'm not 100% sure if like if that's that like all those little actor minutiae things that I'm sure they do really translates to general audiences that much, because I know a lot of people like they just they don't really give a fuck about that. And they're like, but Batman didn't talk. Who cares if
I
he
think
showed emotions? And I don't know. It's a conversation to be had, I guess. But
I,
my one question was, because when I watched it the first time, I
mm,
have a hard time when I watch movies in general the first time. That's why I kind of stopped doing movie reviews, because I was
right.
like, I don't want to watch a movie, get out of the movie, do a review right after, and then afterwards, I'm like, fuck,
That's when
what
work
the
becomes
hell was I
play.
saying? I don't think that movie was good at all. Like Suicide Squad, I was like, I remember that fucking review. To this day, I still want to delete it, but I'll just keep it there just cause. But I do want to delete it because I'm just like, I got out of the theater, I got home, I'm like, I'm gonna do this review, so I did, and I remember ending the review, and I was like, wait, I remember thinking like, do I really think all of that's true? I was like, wait a second. I should have like looked back at all my notes. I should have looked back at what I was, and then I watched it again, and I was like, nah, this movie's ass. And I'm like, I was giving it the benefit of the doubt because it was like, it's DC or whatever. But I'm like, nah, this movie's ass. And I felt so bad because I'm like, I felt like I was lying, but I wasn't. But it's just, didn't formulate a complete like film objective train of thought on everything. Like I just went for what I thought was hype, and that's what a lot of people do. They're like,
Uh,
go out, get out of the movie. They're like, oh, this is hype. This is hype. This is hype. This is hype. And it's like, yeah, I'll share like if something's hype, but that doesn't mean like the movie's good or bad. Like that's why I also stopped giving movies ratings because I'm like, I don't want to put movies in ratings. I'm just gonna tell you my experience, and if my experience is positive, you'll know. If my experience is negative, you'll fucking know. So it's like, what's the point of having like a score? Because it's like for this movie specifically, I'm like, I can't review it after the first watching. I'm like, because there's so much in it that I was just like, I don't know. I feel like I would say something that would just be way off, and then if I rewatch it, it'll just be like, oh, what the fuck? What that was, and that's exactly what happened when I watched it the second time. I was just like, oh, there's a couple things where I thought it was like this, or I thought this meant this, but it kind of didn't. And then there was because the first time I watched it, I just wanted to experience Batman, so I
Mhm.
enjoyed it. Second time I watched it, I was like, let me see if I can find anything that's like super flawed in this fuck. Because there's some people that tend to hate this movie, and so I'm like, let me see what the hate's about. Like, let me just try to be that. And I was like, no, I
Yeah.
just couldn't.
You
I,
couldn't?
I couldn't. There was a couple things that I'm like, okay, I can nitpick, like a couple
Yeah.
things I could nitpick,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
nitpicking is way different than saying that was terrible or that part
Yeah.
of the movie was bad. But that's just
Mhm.
my take on it. You know what I mean? Like I know there's other people that might be like, well, I don't. Yeah, I didn't take it that same way, and that's fine. I mean, like it is what it is. But for me, I just really wanted to take it in before saying something that was not true to myself, to what I thought,
Right.
basically.
Right. I think I didn't, I think I came out. I saw it. I saw it with a mutual friend of ours, and he he came out of it like very much so not a fan of the movie. He like absolutely like every part of it.
Oh.
And the thing is that um I didn't hate the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I also didn't disagree with some of his complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like just to put it in the simplest terms, um, I feel like I wasn't sure what kind of movie I wanted,
Mm.
and so it's kind of unfair for me to judge it accordingly if it doesn't meet my expectation, if my
Mm.
expectations were unclear in the first place.
That makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
I think that aesthetically, presentation wise, the movie did pretty well. I think the characters are. I think your main leads are really neat. They're pretty well defined. I think that the roles were cast pretty perfectly in that regard. Um, bit long,
It is long.
just a little bit long. It's so long that for like the last hour of the movie, all I was thinking about was how much longer until I can go to the bathroom and take a piss because I was like, okay, they're ramping up. It's really hype. I really gotta go to the bathroom. That's like I was paying attention, but there was like a portion of my mind that was just thinking about the exit. I was like, I gotta get out of here. Um,
Fair, fair, fair enough.
but I think that there certainly are a few nitpicks, which I think are
I mean,
there's a couple.
we could go straight into it. I mean, I don't.
Okay,
Why
I
not?
have one that I haven't stopped thinking about when after I watched the movie. Do you know that part? Do you remember that part where Selena goes back to the Iceberg Lounge and they're supposed to like sneak in there and then Batman of course sneaks
With the
right back
eye
up on her.
thing,
Huh?
when she puts on the eye, the the lenses that is it the one where Bruce is like talking to her while?
No, 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 no. It's the one after where they come back where they go back to it and she finds Anika's body in the
Oh
back
yeah,
of the
yeah,
car,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay, okay.
So she finds the body in the back of the car,
Yeah, yeah.
and then Penguin and his goons ambush them basically,
Ah, okay.
and
The
and
shootout, the shootout
they
scene.
shoot
Yeah,
the
yeah.
car, right, and so Selena's hiding behind the car, and Bruce is just standing there. He takes it. It's like, you get shot, and then you get more shots of this. You get more shots of the shootout. You pan up to a shot of Selena behind the car, and then she's looking at the ground, and then Batman's just on the ground. He's like unconscious, right? And then it cuts to Jim, and he's like driving the car, and then Jim shows up, and then from the distance you just hear the roaring of an engine,
Mhm.
from all the way out over there, and then it's the Batmobile, and it's cool, and it drives up, and I'm thinking the whole time, I was like, that's so cool. When did he get in the car?
He's Batman. No,
I thought, I thought so. Like the tumbler can drive itself,
mm,
right? The tumbler has like its own like
mhm,
autopilot thing. I thought, okay, this Batmobile can drive by itself also, right? And
mhm.
then it keeps driving off the freeway. And it's like, wait, Batman's still unconscious on the ground. Are we not gonna address that? And then it cuts to a shot of him inside of the car. I'm like, when? When did that happen? When did he get inside of the car? Um, but uh, I think that was one thing.
Mhm.
Um, I think that I think that somewhere there exists a 5 hour cut of this movie that I am interested in looking
No,
at.
you don't want to watch it.
I think
No, no,
I
no,
think I do because
no, no,
I feel like there's parts of it that I am missing. Um,
no. Really? I don't
mhm.
know. I know that there.
um,
I know. I don't want to say that there is a 5 hour cut because Matt Reeves did say that the test. I think the first official test one they did was like 4.5 hours, something around
oh,
that
okay. Oh, okay. There you
line.
go.
But he said he watched it and the people watched it. Whatever they said, whatever. But he watched it. He said
They were
he's
like, I
like,
need to go to the bathroom.
yeah, I'm sure because. But he was like, that clearly there's things I don't want it to be that long. And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't. It's definitely not a Zack Snyder type of situation where he didn't put out the.
Release the Reeves cut.
Yeah,
Is
there's
that what we're going on?
none of that, none of that. Warner Brothers. We could talk about. I'll talk about this later, but uh, to keep on the whole like movie length thing, I think there are a couple points
Long.
where I could tell they cut
Oh yeah.
straight to something instead of like I don't know, like going directly into the scene like they normally were doing at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
mainly towards the end of the movie where
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah. The second time I watched it, I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then when Matt Reeves was like, oh well, there was Joker scenes, I was like, oh,
They
that
just
makes
said,
more sense.
they just
That makes
can I
more
just
sense. I was like, okay, so he cut the Joker scene where he's talking to Batman. He cut the Joker scene where he was, and so I was like, all right, that makes sense. But he said he was like, just didn't. I didn't want the Joker to take away from it. He's like, the only reason why I kept the other scene. This is his words, not mine. He's like, this is the only reason why I kept the other scene, and it makes sense. Okay, it does. I gotta give him the benefit of the doubt. It fucking makes sense. He said it's because at the end where Selena gives Bruce, where she's basically like, "Come with me, babe. Like, what you doing? What you doing? Come over
yeah.
here." And he's like, "I can't." Basically, and then the bat sign, and she's like, "Oh, you're called for. You're." And she's like, "But
Uh,
you know you're gonna die, and the Gotham isn't worth saving." And then you go to the Riddler and the Joker, and so it's kind of like a reinforcement of like um oh shit, yeah, Gotham's fucked. There's already somebody in Arkham who's
uh,
fucking nuts, who we know is the Joker. But it's yeah, it's fucked. And then there's the Penguin that's still out there and all that shit. So yeah, I get it in that retrospect. But yeah, there were a couple times where I was like, okay, yeah, 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 he definitely cut something.
you know what? You know what part? You know what part felt like it got cut?
The-
Where like Jim and Batman are like deciphering like the password to the secret URL while they're still hiding underneath the bridge, and like Penguin's just chilling right there.
oh,
Like,
where Penguin was like,
let
no
me
habla
let me
español.
let me get the Bat laptop and pull it out right here. It's like, you just have that on you?
Oh shit, I don't even remember. Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, I don't.
He pulls out like a briefcase, like Batman trademark logo briefcase, the bat case, pulls it out, and he's got like, he pulls up his like fucking
You
like
know the
his
funny thing
laptop out.
about that? I was like, you say it, and now
Jesus
that I
Christ.
look back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. But when I was
And he
watching
just
it
does it, and
the second time,
he just deciphered this all in front of him,
but I was just like,
and then
all
they get a
right.
phone call from Selena Kyle, like, or oh, that's the other one where like they have a scene where Bruce and Selena are talking. Like, Selena's like, "You're gonna help me find this guy, right?" And Bruce is like, "I don't know, babe. and then they cut away, and then, hey babe, I got him. Come find me. I'm like, that just happened like 10 minutes ago. You just found her 10 minutes ago. You didn't give him a lot of time to think about it, did you? I didn't know it was like I didn't know that when you said you're gonna help me find this guy was like it's right now. I didn't know you meant like right now, right now. I thought you were gonna give me like I was gonna take like a power nap or something. No, right now, right now.
Yeah.
You gotta get that
That's
runtime
funny.
underneath 3 hours, or else people start dozing off,
Well, I'm pretty sure there was people in like the theater. The second time I
falling
watched it, where I
asleep.
could tell maybe there's a few people that were like, all right. Yeah. Luckily I don't know. I did hear that people were like people were, and I understand it. Like I get it. It is
Mhm.
a long movie. I understand.
In
And
my defense, I was
you
like
know.
very sleep deprived,
When
and
I watched it the second time, that's when I was like, thank God I already watched it the first time, because like I was tired too, and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
damn, this is a movie I don't want to watch when I'm tired.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because when I was like, I had sugar in me, and even though it was late, I had sugar in me, and I was ready to go. I was bat amped, and I didn't. None of it. If anything, like when I was done the first time, I was just like, I just want to see more. Whatever like they have that they shot that they want to release, just give it to me.
Mhm.
But the second time I was like, yeah, okay, this is information. This movie is long, and if you watch it when you're tired, it's not a good idea. Not a good idea, because it's not like one of those long movies where it's like it'll wake you up. It's like
No,
it's detective to the detective point, or neo noir to the neo noir point, like to the
uh,
point where it's like, yeah, you gotta, yeah, it's a Loomy movie for sure. Um,
I think if it's like during the car chase. I think when I was like starting to like fall asleep, I was like,
oh
well,
no.
there's. Well, I was like, I already know it's gonna be a car chase. Someone's gonna get away. I just fall asleep right here.
To be fair, yeah,
But
that
look,
was on the trailer. That was.
but like I feel like for a majority of the movie, like anytime there was dialogue, I feel like I was lucid enough that I think I was following what they were trying to convey.
Mm.
Um, but it's interesting that you say that there's a bunch of Joker scenes that got cut in the extended footage, and suddenly I don't want to see that extended footage anymore.
Exactly. But
Um, and I
I also
just
know that you probably don't want to see Joker.
and I pretty please, I am so tired of this clown. I'm so tired. It can be literally any other clown in the whole world except for this one. You
um,
know? Like I am so done to death. It was like that 2 year period where Deadpool was just everywhere. And at
mm,
some point I just go, all right, I'm done. I'm done with Deadpool. I'm done.
I mean, for the
It just
marketing
felt
for the
like that.
second Deadpool, I was done. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't say anything, but I was done. I was done. I was like,
I
I know this movie's not gonna be great. It's gonna be
uh
cool, but it's not gonna be
yeah.
great. And I'm like, and I'm done with Deadpool. I'm like, I'll read his comics, but I'm done. I'm just like, I'm just done. I get what, because the problem with that character is a whole nother story. But I mean, Ryan Reynolds, yeah. But
Just as an aside, I was kind of done with Deadpool too, but given that now Marvel owns Disney,
I think I'm even more done with it
I'm
though.
kind of excited about Deadpool 3. How much is he gonna try to get away with? I feel like Ryan Reynolds is gonna try to get away with at least just one singular fuck
Oh,
in the whole
for
movie.
sure.
Just one.
No, for sure.
And it might be followed by the word Disney right after, but it'd be really funny. It would be really funny.
Oh no, they're gonna do that for sure. I mean, they can't not do that. Come on.
Someone posted like said the whole movie should be about Deadpool trying to get the one F word they're allowed in a PG-13 movie in a cool moment, and someone at the very end of the movie just steals it away from him.
That would be funny.
I think that's the way to go. I think that would be the way to go. Something
I wouldn't be mad with
something
that.
that something that is self-aware,
Like
like kind of
like
like
meta, but not it over your head meta type. Yeah. But that is
yeah,
Deadpool though. I feel like they're gonna do it. They're gonna do that
yeah.
for sure. Because I mean,
But I think that Deadpool has kind of died away long enough that I can stop thinking about Deadpool, and I'm like, okay, if Deadpool comes out, all right, well, it's Deadpool, right? but but
Yeah.
Joker.
Yeah, let's go back on that train.
I have nothing left. I have nothing left for the Joker anymore. It is absolutely sorry. Let me.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I am I'm done to death. I am over it at this point. I feel like you can only pop off on the whole maniacal laughter to clown face so many times where I am just eh.
Yeah. No, I listen, that's the thing. I totally get it. Like I totally get it. Like I'm like I I can't even argue against that. Like I totally get it. My only thing is like the only reason why I'm like, okay, you know what? All right, let me hypothesize and let me see. And I'm like, all right, the only reason why they got me slightly intrigued and slightly okay with it, if anything, because I am fatigued as well. But the only reason why I was like okay with it slightly was because the actor, I saw him in Eternals, and that motherfucker can act. Holy shit, this guy is good. And he's up and coming, and they got him literally as he was up and coming. They're like, oh, snatch. But him and the possi- the possibility that Matt Reeves goes into a different Joker story that we've never seen before, that's more personal to Batman. And what I'm talking about is like the Scott Snyder Greg Capullo run, which I think would be crazy in a I don't think they would do it because that's going to be horror and rated R, and well, they could push it a little
I'd
bit.
love that.
They could
I'd
push it,
love that. I wish
but
more. I feel like I've talked about this before where like I'm so tired of the superhero genre. I think Fox was trying
I'm
somewhere
done with
really
it too.
interesting. I feel like Fox was trying to go somewhere really interesting with it, and then they got super bought out where they stopped trying to make the superhero movie and they started trying to incorporate superhero in other genre.
Well,
So
X-Men coming back, baby.
they made Logan as like, you know, they styled it in a western
Dude,
and it became a western plus superhero.
but that
And
movie
then
was amazing.
and no, that's what I'm
No,
saying
no, I know. I'm
where it's
just
like
like, fuck, you're right,
it,
Logan.
and then you have Ryan Reynolds who said, "What if it was a comedy, but it was a superhero comedy?" Right? So you have Deadpool, and then I haven't actually seen the New Mutants, but I know that there was some trouble in development, and I don't know if the final product came up being what they originally intended, which was supposed to be a horror movie.
Hmm.
Did you see the New Mutants?
No,
I didn't know that movie even came out, but I know that
I
originally it
literally
was supposed to
forgot.
be like a
You just
yeah.
reminded me. I mean, I knew it
I
was coming
know
out, but
I
you
knew
know,
that it was coming out, and I knew that it was having trouble with development, and I just never caught the release. But apparently it did come out, and I guess no one's talking about it. But I do know that the original version of the New Mutants was it was supposed to be a horror movie,
hmm
but plus superheroes,
hmm
right?
hmm
And I was so intrigued, but then you know, it got delayed, and then they got bought out by Disney, and I don't know if the final product reflects. Can't speak on that, but I'm hoping. I wish that wasn't a genre, but it became like a flavor. You know,
no, I
give me a
agree.
movie where it's like a thing, but just put it in the context of superheroes. Don't put superheroes in this like, you know, don't give me a story where Iron Man discovers evil and then of course that threatens the
Which
whole
is
world
another
and it's like
version of
okay,
Iron Man, by the way.
okay, well if the villain is starting to threaten the whole world then okay, you know. Like I love Endgame, but the Thanos was threatening the entire universe and galaxy kind of lost all the stakes for me because I was like, okay, well he has to die.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
was like, there's no way that they're gonna come out of this with just like you know,
yeah.
like they make it a big deal in the moment, but sometimes when the stakes get so high, I can't take it seriously.
No, I
I
understand.
think that the more specific and the more like low stakes like if they make and if they make a Batman sequel and the whole plot was just takes place in this one building and the villain's like I'm gonna destroy this one building if you don't give me $1 million at the end of 3 hours. If I don't get my $1 million at the end of 3 hours, then you know I'm gonna blow up this building. I'd be like, holy shit, he might actually blow that building up. You know? But if he's like, if I press this button, half the world's gonna explode. It's like, okay, well, he's gonna die.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's the problem with formulas. That's my problem with formulas. Is like I love a good hero's journey, but at the end of the day, it's just a hero's journey. You got the same fucking story every time. You just change the layer. You know, you just
Just
go
give
to the
me a movie
Photoshop
that's
image
not.
and then just change. It's the same pose, just change the layer. But
Just give me a movie that is not focus tested. Give me the crap that you thought up in the beginning. Just do it. Just once. Just
But the,
once.
but to that point, that's actually why I got excited for this movie, because I felt like I was in like some weird bubble, because I remember the trailer for this came out and so did No Way Home, but No Way Home ate it up to a little bit, but No Way Home actually was more general audience. I remember when the Batman trailers came out, thinking these fucking trailers are I can't find anything that's bad about them generally. The No Way Home trailers, as soon as I watched the teaser, I was like, "Oh my hype." I was like, "Oh." But then when I watched the official trailer, I was pissed, bro.
What about it?
Fucking pissed.
Why? What part? What part specifically?
Everything, bro. I knew exactly what was gonna happen. I was like, and it didn't even help that they spoiled that fucking Toby and Andrew were gonna be. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that final scene that's literally layered in the trailer to be the final moment in the trailer, which is gonna be the final moment in the movie. Guess who's gonna be there? I'm not an idiot. The other Spider-Man, and guess who's gonna save Mary Jane? I'm not an idiot. A different Spider-Man. Because I remember my friends were like, oh, Mary Jane, is she gonna die? I'm like, no, she's not. She's not. She's gonna get saved by a Spider-Man. You guys can't see the picture that's being painted here. I'm like, it's fucking obvious what's gonna happen. Don't get me wrong. I loved the movie. I cried because Toby came back and they did it a good well. It's still that movie will live on for fan service.
Oh my god, yeah.
But it's just it's the
Spider-Man
simplest
fan
story that
service.
was executed near perfect. That's the best way I can explain that movie. Cuz it's not when I got out of the Batman, I know I get the whole argument, it's long, it's this, that, and the other. But there's so much technical shit that went along with this movie. The direction, the director of photography, the lighting, the way they composed everything, the music. I mean, don't get me wrong. The music for Spider-Man No Way Home was good too. Why? Because the motherfucker that made it was the guy who did this too. That guy's just a fucking genius. That guy's a fucking genius. But yeah, I just this movie had so many upsides for me technically that I was like, okay, if the story is shit, then but I know technically they tried their best. I know technically they tried their because with there's certain shots that I'm like, okay, is that CGI? Where I was like, is it? Is it or is it not? I'm like, backgrounds, maybe, right? For sure. But there were certain shots, but in No Way Home, I'm like, oh, that's CGI. Oh, that's CGI. Well, that's my problem with Marvel movies, though.
It's a Marvel
Is
movie.
I'm
It's
just
like,
like,
oh my god, it's
how
a
are you
real
so
fire
bad
hydrant.
at CGI, though? How are you so bad? You have so many fucking movies that come. Eternals, bro. I watched Eternals. I was like, how is this so ugly? Even when they try to put like the film over it, they still fucked it up. They still fucked it up, and I was like, how?
I think that DC movies get a lot of shit, but I will give them one thing is that whenever you see the suit, there is like a bat suit. Whenever you see the Flash's suit, there is a suit that that what's his name wears.
Yeah,
I forgot. Ezra Miller.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
if there's,
That
there's like a
that
Flash
guy.
suit. Yeah. Oh, the guy that yelled at that woman.
Yeah, the
Um.
guy that pushed you.
Oh boy. um.
I still don't know if it's real or not, but it looked real.
The Flash. Oh, what a hero. Um. When you see him in that Flash suit, he's probably wearing that Flash suit in real life, right? But
For most of the time, yeah.
you go watch you go watch
Oh my
like
god, Tom Holland suit.
uh the one the very first time you see him in the suit when he steals Captain America's shield in Civil War, and it's like, oh man, look
Don't
at
even
that.
remind me, bro.
Look at that CGI, man.
Don't even remind me, bro.
It pans out to them and it's all of them in a line, and it pans out and Spider-Man's at the end and he's just a video game character. He's like a
Yes.
he's like a PS3 era CGI character. I'm like,
And I gave them the
Um,
benefit of the doubt because I was like, that's the trailer. It'll be better in the movie. What the fuck? They barely changed it in the movie. I was like,
and
how
and it
does.
it's also just the juxtaposition of Tom Holland's suit being kind of like CGI, but you've seen Toby's suit and you've seen Andrew's suit and you know they're real and you've seen them. And so when they're all in the scene together, I'm looking at it and I'm like thinking, I'm like, I wonder if Tom Holland is even wearing his suit. Just him though. Just him. I was like, is he wearing the suit? Because I was like, I know these two are. What about that guy? What about Nathan Drake over here? Is he wearing the suit?
Well, I think every scene in that movie where he didn't have his mask on, I think he was wearing the suit. But even then, they still go over it and they layer it with CGI, thinking that it's gonna look better. But they end up fucking it up, and I'm just like, just let the suit be the
No.
suit. Even some of the shots from No Way Home, where you see Andrew or Toby, there are times where I'm like, how did they also fuck up their suits? Because their suits looked great in their respective movies, but now they just look, what the
Got that got that
f.
got that
I'm
Marvel
like, they
tuck
got they
in.
got the webbing on Toby wrong. Andrew's shoulders look unrealistic. I was like,
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
don't
it.
worry about it. He says,
Don't worry about it. You know whose shoulders don't look unrealistic? Can Robert Pattinson. Can we
no,
talk about can we talk about that bat suit for just a quick
bro.
second?
Oh my
That
goodness.
looks it's probably look, I like the Christian Bale suit, but
I actually
looking
didn't,
back on
bro.
looking back on it, I'm like it looks and they designed it after like a motorcycle jacket. Like they made it so that it's supposed to work
Mm-hmm.
as like a motorcycle jacket.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the kind of I like that he's got like a pouch on one side of his leg. I don't know what it is. I wish, you know what? I kind of wish the pants were more like loose. I wish they're kind of more like cargo pants, but that's fine. I'll
uh,
take it. They're not, but I wish they kind of were. Kind of like just to give it a more like
more
kind of
DIY.
more military look like for the bat suit. I kind of like that he's supposed to be kind of like this huge imposing. I mean, like he's supposed to be able to like move very quickly, but the man also carries like a cape that also doubles as a wingsuit. But that's fine. I wish I like the way that the bat suit looks in this movie. Just
Yeah,
aesthetically, I like that.
I fit so well for the movie, for the setting too. Like Gotham. Hello, Gotham. I'm like, this is the first time where I feel like I'm actually in Gotham. Like, don't get me wrong, Christopher Nolan did a good job of grounding the idea of Batman in
Mm,
Gotham. But Matt Reeves definitely added a little bit of that ooh la la factor that Tim Burton had to an extreme, where Tim
yeah.
Burton's was just, that was Tim Burton's fucking mind. But
Mm.
this just feels like the perfect in between, where I'm like, okay, yeah, this feels like Gotham. This feels like Gotham. I was like, I remember thinking, like, this is Gotham. I'm like, no, this is like I can for sure say this is Gotham. Where like in the
Mm.
Christian Bale movies, there was a
It's
little bit of,
Detroit
yeah,
in New
there
York,
it's yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, basically.
you know, and Chicago.
Oh, a lot of Chicago in that fucking movie.
But yeah, not a lot of establishing shots.
No.
But in the Batman, it's literally like Gotham Times Square where he's like going around in a big circle and it's this giant mess of like billboards and screens and I was like okay,
Yeah.
uh it's neat, I don't know, I don't know.
It is neat.
um
It is neat. As a film nerd and a Batman nerd, I was like, I like it. I was just sitting back like, I
yeah,
appreciate that.
it's nice, but yeah.
But
Nice, nice job on the bat suit. Can I just say one thing about the bat suit though?
no, keep going. Yeah, you're fine.
Wingsuit, lame.
Dude, okay, yeah. I got that spoiled.
Wingsuit. I think when he climbed out of the GCPD and he put the wingsuit on, I think the entire theater made a collective huh sound because everyone because he kind of just went. I was like it's almost like I know he pulled something and it turned into a wingsuit,
yeah.
but everyone just kind of went. everyone's kind of, you could hear the sounds of like seats being leaned forward into, like, huh?
Yeah, that's funny. Because I
I was
mean,
like,
there was a I forgot what toy it was. I think it was a Funko Pop,
oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
they released
wingsuit
it, and I was like, oh,
Batman.
an exclusive, the Batman Funko Pop, and then I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. It's exclusive. Oh, it's
It's
hideous.
disgusting. And I
I'm
was like,
sorry. I'm
what?
sorry.
I
I know that they
preferred
were
the
trying
whole
to
like
go.
Christian Bale thing where he had like the electromagnetic thing where it would kind of become wings. I was like, okay, that's sick. But
A parachute.
it's just yeah, but it's just aesthetically, it just doesn't look
Just
pleasing.
Arkham it. Why you're literally a guy dressed as a bat. Just put your capes out and fly. Who gives a shit? I like why does that
I don't
why
know.
do you have why do you need to have it so realistic? And then and then like okay, oh he's gonna glide. We need to put him in a wingsuit. Also, his helmet needs to have bat ears cuz he's the Batman. And like no, there's no reason for the bat ears because there's no reason for the wingsuit. Just have it, just have it be the cape. Just
Yeah. No,
enough.
I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there.
Next movie, if there is a next movie, I just I want the first shot of him to be just jumping off. Is like, see, no wingsuit. Just get it out of the way.
The only reason why that nitpick I forgive is because I'm like, okay, yeah, he's in year 2. All right, whatever. He'll fix it later. That's all what I tell myself. I'm like, he'll fix it later. Bruce will make it better.
Oh man,
But what did
I
you
know
think
that I know
about?
that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go.
I was gonna say like I know that they were trying to do year two, but I actually really love the whole Jim and Batman adversarial relationship. I like the idea of Batman versus the cops. Like
Yeah,
it
that
was
was.
weird. It weirded me out when he walked in, and it's just him. It felt like Jim brought his son to work day at the to a crime scene, and everyone's just kind of looking at everyone's kind of looking at him. Like imagine that, but it's Robert Pattinson in that one picture of him in the
No,
tracksuit.
with on the in a good day. What is it? Good
Yeah,
city
yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, good times.
yeah.
Good times. Good times. Fuck.
But it's just him wearing the tracksuit. Just that. That's what it felt like to me in my head. But
I,
what were we saying?
no, I was just gonna say like what did I was it kind of leaned into what you said a little bit. It was just what you thought about the whole like year 2 idea. Like I know that they they made it a big point in this movie, but after I saw the credits, I got a little bit my recent Batman nostalgia. Like I got a little excited, but they're releasing a whole like book set and everything of like year 1, the Long Halloween, and then Ego for those 3, and they keep talking about like
Ego.
those are the inspirations. Those are it. Those are it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I see it. I
Living
see some of
planet.
it. I see some of it. I see some of it. But there's one comic that I was like, no one's talking about this fucking comic, and I know that Matt Reeves read this shit and was like, I'm gonna do this for the Riddler. And I just reread it right now before we went live. I literally kid you not, the same fucking thing that the Riddler did in the movie was in this fucking comic. And I was like, holy shit. I don't want to say I'm a messiah or prophet or whatever the fuck, but I'm
Uh-huh.
like, the Long Halloween, I get it, because the Long Halloween happens, and it's like it's an interwoven story in between multiple
Right.
characters where you don't have to explain their backstories; they just exist. They're there, and
Right.
Batman's trying to figure out a mystery. Cool. Year 1, I get it. It's early Batman. He's young. He's reckless. He's very much in the vigilante phase, and at the end of it, he'll figure out what it means to really be a hero. Cool. Get it. The Riddler was my question, because I was like, there's so many different interpretations they could go for it. When they released the costume a while ago, when they were releasing everything for it, a part of me was just like kind of groaned a little bit because I was like, they're going with that, huh? And I wasn't sure what
Yeah.
they were gonna do with him because I'm like, I don't, I like Jim Carrey, don't get me wrong, but I don't like his fucking Riddler. That shit was terrible. The fact that that was the only good thing people could come out of the theater when they saw that movie and say that was the best part, that's terrible to me.
No, what about chill out?
No, come on. Wait,
Everybody.
I forgot about him already.
Freeze.
No, no, we don't need to
Is that
talk
even the
about
same
it.
movie? Is that even the same
I
movie?
don't know. They might as well be, dude.
That's all in my head. They're the same movie.
That's what I mean in my head too. So like, but they're all terrible. But the fact that Jim Carrey's is the best, I'm like, he was literally just being Jim Carrey with the green suit. But it's okay. It's whatever. Cool. But
Jim Carrey should have been the Joker.
probably,
They should
probably
have cast Jim Carrey
he
as the
just likes to
Joker.
be fucking yeah. Probably, but yeah, probably. But I was just intrigued that they were going with the whole Zodiac killer vibe, and I was like, and then the more I thought about it, I was like,
Yeah.
you know, it makes sense if you're trying to be more neo noir realistic. If we're trying to go
Mhm.
that route, then okay, it makes sense.
Mhm.
There's a logical reason why they went there, because it makes sense. But if you want to, like, my only thing was like, just please make it right, like the right, like, like the integrity of the character is there, type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Because like in the Dark Knight Rises, I don't know if you remember how Bane was like not. I remember groaning as well. I was like, okay, the mask, and he talk like that, and he doesn't have a Hispanic
What the
accent.
hell was wrong with the bed?
Yeah, he doesn't have a Hispanic accent. No osito, no teddy bear that he he's now tied to the League of
Oh my god, Bane was white. I don't know, that never registered in my head. Bane was white in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, he was
I
what?
don't know
He's like
why.
some
I don't know
European
why that,
motherfucker. He's
that
white,
never. I don't know why that never registered in my
bro. In
head
the
until you
comics, he's
just
not
said that.
white.
I know he's not
He's
white. I
not
know
white.
that. I know that much. He's supposed to be a luchador.
Yeah,
I don't know why it never registered in my head.
that's hella fun. Yeah,
Oh
man. I mean, it
no.
pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. It did kind of piss me off back in the day when they announced it. But I
Oh,
watched it, and to be fair, they didn't make him like the first Bane, which he was just like, "Ugh."
big Hulk. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They actually made him smart. They made
They
him
made him
actually
smart
break
Bane.
Batman's back. They actually made him take
Mm.
control of Gotham, and I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Okay, I can. And that was kind of the same. Why I bring that up is that's the same vibe I got with this, where it was like, all right, I could see him putting on the suit later. I could see him doing the Riddler things because the character to me was there because it screamed Zero Year. I don't know if you read that comic, but
No.
it screamed 0 year left and right in my head, and I was like, I fucking knew it. I was like, I fucking knew it. I didn't want to seem like a prophet, but I was like, fuck, dude, I knew it. I fucking knew it. They had to have read it, and in the credits was the fucking writer and the artist of that comic book. So I'm like, you got me fucked up. Why didn't you put that in the collection? I'm like,
And so my knowledge of bat lore is weird because I feel like I know a lot more about Batman than I have actually read. So like I know it in broad strokes, but I don't know
no,
the
that happens.
specifics. Um, I think the most the version of Batman that I am most intimately familiar with, and it might sound really mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
is the Arkham games.
Mm-hmm.
Which have
Fair.
you've played the Arkham games,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
I think I'm tainted by the idea that um when I saw the Riddler as a Zodiac killer, it kind of put me off because I
Mm-hmm.
never saw him as a Zodiac killer because I
Mm-hmm.
really, really liked the Arkham games' interpretation of the Riddler as Jigsaw, where
Mm.
in Arkham City, in Arkham Knight, he's putting up these like torture puzzles and stuff like that. Like I feel like in my head that's a really cool interpretation of like, oh, riddle me this, Batman. Can you do this before I cut off this man's head or some shit like that? I
Yeah.
think if you're gonna go for like a Zodiac killer type character, um, no jokes, I think a better fit would have been Calendar Man.
No,
I feel
yeah.
like
No,
I
I
feel like
agree.
if you just swap out the aesthetic instead of like a big question mark, it's like different holidays, you know?
Bro, you're onto something. He just
I
slipped it up.
I feel like, and especially like at the end where it's like a bunch of them, right? They're all like different holidays, right? You get one with
But
like a Santa hat. I feel like Calendar Man in this role would have fit quite nicely and would have been a bit less jarring.
No,
I
I
feel
I
like
agree
I
with you.
feel like the Riddler being kind of the Zodiac killer, cause I don't know. I mean, what do you know about the Zodiac killer? like it like IRL. He's not really known for like talk. And
Yeah,
I feel like
I think they just
um
wanted to take the aspect of it that he's so fucking smart that even if you figure it out, even if you catch him, you haven't figured everything out, type of
that's
thing.
what I mean. Is like I think the idea that you put the Riddler in a character you put the Riddler in a suit where it's literally covering his face and mask um kind of does not go with the Riddler in my head, where the Riddler in my head is like, I want everybody to know it's me, the Riddler, who outsmarted
No,
the Bat, and like that type of thing. And
yeah.
like he never shuts up, and he never shuts the hell up. And I feel like if you're gonna go for like the silent, quiet killer type, I feel like Calendar Man would have been a really interesting pick. Isn't there a version? It wasn't it. Was it not? Was it the Long Halloween, or was it No Man's Land, where they turned Calendar Man into this kind of like Hannibal Lecter type character?
I
I'm
think you
thinking
are.
of
I
something.
think it is No Man's Land.
I think one of those where like they
Yeah,
kind of turned
because I
Calendar
think he
Man
was
into this
also in the Long
creepy.
Halloween, but I don't think he was like the main killer, like the guy they were looking for. But I
Yeah,
do think he was in there. But I'm thinking that it's more so No Man's Land, where because they do like a serial like that type of vibe in that comic.
right.
But
I think the idea of like you have this killer who leaves out, he leaves out clues, but it's just theme it around a holiday, right?
well,
I feel like they could have easily shifted that and like done that instead, and you could have had, instead of the Joker at the end, you could have had Riddler at the end,
no,
already in Arkham,
fair
because
play.
I'm tired of the Joker.
No,
Just
fair play,
get
fair
him out,
play.
get him out, get out.
No, I see that.
Like they
There's
cast sorry, I'm sorry, like they cast a guy who would have been perfect. Like they took his mask off and he looks great. Like
he looks like the Riddler. He really
he
does.
looks like what I imagined the Riddler
Yeah,
would be, and they put him in a mask in like 90% of the movie.
yeah.
And I was like, like I'm sure that they'll get some more use of him
Oh,
if they reuse the
no,
character
they
later on.
will. Trust me,
But
they
but
will.
but man, the introduction of like um you know, he he's the quiet type. I was like, ah.
Well, it depends because the way I looked at it was like the Riddler is everything that you said for sure. Like he's
Mhm,
so many. He is the most comic booky villain Batman I think has. To be honest, like looking back at a lot of the stuff he does, I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker for sure the most campy out of all of them. I guess that's the
mhm,
word. That's why I was like, okay, I see why they hired Jim Carrey. I see why that was the
yeah.
thing back in the day. But uh, there are like creepy elements to him that get explored here and there in the comic books where I'm like, I just want that. I was like, I want
Mhm,
that because if that's the thing they could tap into that I thought was like they have to tap into that if they want to make it that grounded thing because otherwise it is going to be too campy and it is going to be too much like jarring for like this thing, which sucks because I think they could have still done it. I think they could have still done it, but it's always that like thing where you don't want it to be that like jarring for audiences in that case. But
no, they should do it.
well, I think the only reason why I kind of forgive what they did, well, not forgive, but like understand what they did, was because this movie specifically felt like it was the origin. Like there was no like this was the origin of the Riddler. This was the origin of the Penguin. This was the origin of Catwoman. And from here on out, if we see the characters again, they'll be like boom on in all cylinders because I just telling by the two Planet of the Apes movies that Matt Reeves directed, I I would be remiss and surprised if the Riddler didn't make a comeback and wasn't in the background in the next movie or even in the third movie because that's just how I just see it. I just see it. The way Matt Reeves did the apes, like he just connected it in a way that made so much fucking sense. So I'm like, if he could do that with the Batman trilogy, I I could all this little stuff that people that you could be like, okay, well it'll pay off. That's why I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I think because I know it will pay off. Because I know he'll bring it back. Because I know, like, the only reason why I kind of feel like he's still the Riddler, like to the comic book feel, like that showman-y feel, is because when he got caught, after he got caught, and we got to see Paul Dano act without the mask, I was like, okay, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. I don't know if you felt the same, but like I was like, okay, yeah, nope, that's the Riddler. Now just put him in the hat. Now just have him in the
I
suit.
think
But that's it.
yeah, yeah.
He got it. He got it. I was like, holy shit. I was like, okay, I get it. He was DIY at the beginning to just use Batman as a tool, kind of like in another comic where he uses a scientist as a tool to show eventually how Gotham is like they're they're going. It's just all going downhill. So just let's just accelerate the process. Basically, that's basically
Right.
what the comic of Zero Year was, where he was like, let me just use all this scientific shit. Let me make this scientist into some monster where Batman will get completely be baffled by him, and then eventually he won't see it coming, and boom, everything gets. It's called Zero Year because he breaks Gotham and puts it in like basically like he's just like you guys are all fucking up the planet anyway, so let me just fuck it up for you faster. and I
Mhm,
was
mhm,
and
mhm.
that he's instead of him being a streamer in the comic, he's talking to Gotham through a city, through like the whole giant screen where he basically wakes up Gotham and he's like, hey guys, welcome back to
Yeah.
Zero Year. So that's the
The
vibes I was getting with this, and I was like, holy shit! I'm like, they're using that street that thing as his way of talking to Gotham, because I was like, when he got caught, it was about him. Like everything was just about him. Like it was just like it's all about him. And I'm like, okay, that's the Riddler. That's the Riddler. So like
I,
that's why there was like at the beginning, yeah, I could see it, but then there's so much other. I don't know. There's just so I don't know. Maybe I was going off with a crazy tangent, but the streaming thing I
I
know
love
was
the idea
something
that
that put some people off though.
man. Oh, I if I didn't if I was more awake, I feel like I would have howled in laughter
He said,
when
"Hey guys."
the the 1-2 punch of Riddler calling Batman, and then the call is a FaceTime. I was already ready, and it cuts to we're actually streaming live on it, and then you see the hearts in the corner. I I think I think my friend literally went very loudly, "Ha!" in the middle of the theater because I was like right along there with them. I was just like I was trying not to. I felt I didn't wanna disturb anybody who was like, this is this is my movie and do not disturb me. I was like, I don't want to be the cause of that disturbance. But oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh. And then later when you find his secret files and he's like making his little 500 subscribers special
Bro.
video and stuff like that. And my friend kind of leans in and he goes, "That's that's not a lot, is it?" And I'm just like, "No, not really, I guess." I mean, like it is quite a bit. It is quite a bit,
I mean,
but I
subathons exist.
I guess I was like, oh man, but you know what? One thing I do love that in this modern interpretation of if Batman were to exist today, of course, his villain would be from Reddit. Of course. If there's any, I feel like if they made this movie 10 years ago, instead of the R slash the Riddler, it would be 4chan
Oh God.
somewhere on 4chan. You get to fight the villain B, which is just a random board.
Oh God. I, oh God. I'm happy with the moderation that we.
And instead of the Zodiac killer, the Riddler would be wearing a Guy Fawkes mask, except it's green because it's the Riddler.
They could have. They really could have actually probably done that, but I don't. That. But
Stole it straight from 4chan.
what did you think about the Penguin? I feel like I wouldn't. I feel like it wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about. If we didn't talk about the Penguin.
What about the Penguin?
What do you mean?
There was one. So I didn't really pay attention to a lot of the interviews, for the movie. There was a few, mostly about Robert Pattinson just not wanting to do it. Which is every time they had an interview of Robert Pattinson saying, like, they tell him, Robert, you have to do this, and he's like, no. I was like, but they'll fire you, and he goes, okay. Like when they told him to work out more, and he's like, but
Yeah.
I don't want to, and he's like,
Well,
but they'll fire, but they'll
that one,
fire
I
you,
think he was
and
fucking with people.
he's like, okay, so fire me. I love that. That's the exact energy I want from this. Great, give it to me straight. But there was just the one bit where, like, um it was Colin Farrell,
Mm.
um where he wanted the cigar.
Oh,
He there was an interview where he wanted the, Penguin to be having the cigar, because I feel like it completes the character, and everyone's like, no, don't want to promote smoking, and I'm like, you're not promoting smoking, it's a villain. You're not like,
yeah,
it's not like Batman smoking, it's different.
yeah,
um
yeah,
I feel like it would make sense for the Penguin to smoke, just aesthetically.
yeah.
I
It
think
worked.
that, uh the attempt to add so many layers of backstory and to find a way to connect all these characters, um felt like it overcomplicated the character a little bit. I feel like the Penguin just being the Penguin would have been fine by me. But I think when
Mm.
you find out that he was actually working for this, who was actually working for that person, who was actually secretly double crossing this guy, I was like, all right.
Mm. Do you
But
mean
now
when
that,
when he was working under Falcone, and then at the when Falcone got caught, and he was like, "Oh, fuck you."
exactly, it's like, and I'm just like, uh, I don't know. I like his role of, not the central bad guy, but he's gonna be a big deal because he's capital T, capital P, the Penguin.
Yeah.
You know, I like the fact that he has his own, like, villain nickname, and he's gonna be a big deal later.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's what I kind of liked, that they kind of did that, because it's always funny to me that he's that villain. Like, he's that villain that Batman's like, "I'll deal with you later." But then he's like, then the Penguin just takes control of Gotham, and like next you know, Batman's like, "Oh shit, okay."
I wish they had made more. I wish they gave him more penguin like features. I wish
Yeah,
he was
I
uh,
thought they were
I
gonna
wish he
go.
was always wearing a tuxedo, and I wish that
Yeah,
his nose was long, and
yeah.
I wish he was always holding, like, a rock or something. Just, you know,
Yeah, you know, Penguin
just
thing.
make just little penguin things. Give him like tap
I still
shoes.
want the monocle.
Yeah,
The monocle. They need the
the
monocle,
monocles.
and then the
Yeah,
top hat.
give him a
Yeah,
monocle and a cigar. Give him his fucking, like,
but
his umbrella gun.
I think he will. I think he will. That's what I keep
Like
saying.
like I
Like,
know
I
like I
think
know
they're
we
gonna.
rag on I know we rag on, like, the campiness and, like, of the Tim Burton films. I know that it's campy. It was, ooh, but
I don't
I
know.
love the idea that, these are wacky comic book characters, so they're gonna be wacky comic book characters on screen. Like, the attempt to make everything gritty and realistic, you just end up with the same character over and over again, I think. And it becomes
Kind of.
and it
Yeah.
and it I think it becomes a little less impactful when something actually shows up. Like, could you imagine if, um the Riddler in this movie
Mhm.
was just Jim Carrey? If they no way home it, right? If they no way home it, and and they bring
They
in
don't.
Jim Carrey, and he's like, hoo hoo hee hee,
No.
riddle me this, Batman. Um,
No.
I think
I
I
don't need
think
that in my life.
I I think I think that would have been godlike. I would never stop
No.
talking about this movie. I feel like if they
I can't
decided,
tell if you're being serious or if you're
I
just
feel like
making a
I
joke on No Way Home.
I feel like I feel like if they made, because I think that's the just like juxtaposition of, like, Batman villains, right? Where you have Superman villains, and Superman's like this ray of hope, and all his villains are
Mhm.
like these seedy, villains from the underbelly of the world, blah blah is there. But all of Batman's villains are a clown and a penguin and a bunch of ice, right? Like these kind of
A
like
plant woman.
um there's a reason why the Joker is like considered to be the Batman's like arch nemesis for a number of things, but also aesthetically because Batman is always dressed up in like blacks and whites and grays, and the Joker's always in like very bright purples, neon green, and stuff like that. Like the fact that your main villain is all these crazy colorful characters, I think is a really nice um way for you to like distinguish these characters. But if everybody's just the same shade of gray, I think they stand out a little bit less. Like you do get that layer of grit. And not to say that I dislike the interpretation of having a character or having a villain that is just as gritty to match the world, but I think that it would be so much more interesting if they put like an actual cartoon villain as your villain, but like put it in the context of reality. And I think that if they even if they did the exact opposite things, imagine Tim Burton Batman, but then you put realistic Riddler in it. I think that is also just as interesting.
No,
Um,
yeah, just the Riddler
just
one. I
the
don't agree with you
opposite.
with, but that one, yeah. That
I think I
I
think
just don't
I
like
think
Jim
just
Carrey's
having
Riddler.
I think just having like the clashing of like the clashing of like aesthetics kind of sets it apart a bit more. And I like that, and I enjoy that, and I hope that they do something interesting other than um I'm a crazy clown. Hoo hoo hee
No,
hee.
they will.
Haha.
I'm pretty sure they will because they did the. I don't want to say the right
Put
comics, but
Peacemaker in the next one. Put,
but this isn't a part of that.
no, I don't care. Just do it. Just put
Jesus, I don't
Peacemaker in
care.
it. Just put Peacemaker in it. Who cares?
Because I mean I could definitely see that whole like they're all gonna feel the same because they're under the same, and I guess that's a positive thing for sure of Marvel, of their way of distinguishing because they're so colorful and um
Also, Marvel movies are kind of like they're not like as dark and gritty. Like there's a
no,
little bit
that's
of
what I mean,
levity in
like
it.
they're
They're like comedy-ish.
yeah, they
Maybe too much
but
comedy these days.
I don't think
But
they have to be dark and gritty as much. I just think that they definitely need to try to make it less completely digital looking. I think they're killing the shit. I don't understand why a director that Warner Brothers just said, "Hey, here's the keys to the car," and he drove the fuck out of the car visually, and Marvel's just like, "Hey, here's the key to the car," but you can't do that. Don't no. That's you can't touch that. No, but no, we got to make
I
sure
think
that
it's
this is.
just I think it's just different lessons, right?
It's just,
Like back when Iron Man and Iron Man 2 and Thor, and they were starting to launch the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
hmm
Um The Dark Knight had just come out uh back in 2008.
yes,
And at that time, I don't know if you remember, but the plan originally was they were gonna make a Justice League movie
yeah,
right after that, and that got canceled in favor of a third Batman movie.
yeah.
And instead of establishing their world, they decided to double down on this world and maybe introduce a character in a very similar setting. So they came out with Man of Steel, which is a movie that I refuse to interact with, but I keep hearing very rave reviews. I hear it's a very fantastic film, that Man of Steel. Um, I think that I
I
think
liked it.
that the I think that um uh DC learned different lessons than Marvel did when it comes to establishing their world. Where when DC tried to do it, they tried to do it all at once. They tried to do the Avengers before they tried to do Iron Man 1. They tried to introduce a villain team. Who gives a shit? Prior, like like they're like establishing all these callbacks to movies that might come, and they never came, and it just kind of fell flat. Also, they kept trying to course correct and trying to do what Marvel was doing. I think the interpretation was,
Mm.
I think Suicide Squad is like one of the biggest ones where that I don't know what kind of movie that was gonna be originally. I feel like whatever movie that was gonna be originally is not at all the movie that we got because it got cut up and
Well,
chopped up into a different, into a different movie entirely by the
it's
time that movie came out.
it sucks when the director comes out. It's like, oh yeah, the Joker was basically the villain, and it's just like, how the fuck did they change that?
I you know, part of me part of me loves this reality where Jared Leto went so crazy playing as a Joker and he's not even in it. I think
That's the
it's my
funniest
favorite
thing,
part.
is that
Like
he really
every
did
time I think about it, every
fucking gave
time I
people
see like
rats.
the headlines, every time I see the headlines of like Jared Leto sent Margot Robbie a dead rat because hoo hee hee I'm the Joker, and then he's in there for like, hey I'm the Joke, and then that's it. That's all he gets.
He
I
just gives the
love that.
ah ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his laugh is the worst. I'm not gonna lie, the worst,
I,
the fucking worst. Because it's like, can you just not have my audio mixing brain was like, can you just not have like 0.5 seconds in between? Can you just go? Can you stop being like? Do I have to wait for the fucking Haas?
he should have went ho ho ho. Just
Honestly, it
just
would have kind of.
go completely out of left field with
I
it.
mean, his character felt kind of left field, so it would have worked. But I
Well,
mean, the funny thing that we talked that you start talking about the Justice League and the way they started doing handling their stuff. That actually leads into one of my thoughts that I wanted to bring up earlier, but I was like, I'll get to this later. Was about like the timing of this movie, because you talk about the Dark Knight, you talk about the
uh-huh.
Christopher Nolan movies,
Right.
and if you like look at the timing, it feels the same, bro. Because when you look at the Batman Begins, that movie was coming off of a big hiatus from Warner Brothers because they fucked up. They fucked up the same way they did with Zack Snyder's whole debacle. They fucked up. They were like, Tim Burton, we can't give you a third movie. We'll give it to you, but you have to sell toys. You can't be doing this dark shit. You can't be doing that body horror stuff. And we're not selling toys. Kids are scared. So they
Uh-huh.
go pick up Joel Schumacher. They give the script to Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's like, the script sucks. I'm gone. Bye. Deuces. I'm Batman. And then he leaves in the sunset. And then they get
Right.
Val Kilmer. Then they try to do something else. Then they change it to George Clooney, bat nipples and everything. Boom, 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 boom.
Mhm.
And then they're just like, we fucked up. Because everything got critically, like when your director comes out and says, I'm sorry to every single fan, every single Batman fan for the movie that I made, that's how you know you fucked
Mhm.
up. So
Right.
they took time out. Batman Begins came, and that kind of fucking changed everything because it wasn't like Tim Burton's and it wasn't like Schumacher's. It was like felt like just a modern take at the time.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, when it came out, there was like X-Men was still doing stuff. X-Men was still putting movies out, and they were still doing stuff. And I think Sam Raimi's movies had just ended. I think so, something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, Iron
Yeah.
Man was coming out. But
Yes.
the one thing
Iron
I
Man
do
and
remember about the
Dark Knight
first
came
Iron
out at the
Man
same time.
is that's still my favorite Marvel movie. That is still my favorite Marvel movie. It's like going back and watching the original Star Wars and being like, that's still the best. Why? Because they did it first. It was like the after everything else after that, it's just the copy of the same thing that was put out. And so
It doesn't come with the burden of trying to figure out what comes after this
no,
because
well, no,
I
but
think they came out with Iron Man and they said, oh, maybe there's a sequel, but well, we just want to make an Iron Man movie.
which is what DC was doing with movies. But the problem was they didn't have like, let's just be honest, they don't have a Kevin Feige. All right, that man is a workhorse. Okay, that man is just out and saying this is going to come out, comes out. This is gonna we're putting this in a couple like I talk shit about like the formula and everything like that because I'm just tired of it. But
Uh huh.
it's working
Yeah.
monetary wise and like publishing and being on schedule and doing all these things. It's working. it is what it is. But I still think there's a happy in between that I wish DC would have figured out, but they didn't, of having that auteur vision and keeping the routine. The only thing with this is that I'm excited about is Matt Reeves looks like he wants to like almost host his own Bat Club and like have it as his own Batverse where he's like, yeah, no, there's gonna be a a Penguin show, and then we're also gonna do an Arkham show, and then we're gonna do a bunch of stuff. Which I know
I did not know
your
that.
brain gets hurt, but
I did not know that.
I prefer that over what DC's trying to do with the whole Justice League and with Flash. Because I don't know if you've seen, but Flash got pushed back again, and I'm like, is this movie ever gonna fucking come out? And are they really gonna just try to course correct everything with that movie? Because I don't. That's a lot to do, and so I'm like, you know what? I could just say fuck everything else and just stick to the Matt Reeves verse, if you want to call it that, because I feel like at least he'll have a vision, where like the DC other movies, they're just trying to piece together, like they're just trying to be puzzle pieces and they're trying to make it work, but it instead of having a complete vision, which you can see with Marvel movies. But the only thing I wish they would have kept with Marvel is the look of Iron Man. If you go back and watch Iron Man, that shit looked
It's a
beautiful.
different movie.
It
It's a
looked
different movie.
beautiful. I don't. What happened? The CGI. There's no
Someone,
CGI
yeah,
in
I was
my
gonna
brain.
say someone went up to someone went up to the Marvel and said, "Have you heard of this new computer graphics?" Like they stopped making the Iron Man suits and they said you can just do this on a newfangled computer. And then they just decided to do that for everything else for the next 20 years.
Which I mean,
Um,
it helps, I guess. But
I I didn't I mean so I didn't know that they were planning a Batman verse.
yeah, I mean, I don't
That's
know if I don't know if
confirmed.
that's I'm 100%. But I mean, like, it's the Penguin from the movie. They're just gonna explore his character, and the Arkham thing. I think it's because it was set in year two. There's still a lot of stories that aren't. It's like when you release like let's say it's like you release like My Hero Academia, right? You release
Mhm.
My Hero Academia, and then
Yeah.
the people are like, but what about this character? What about that character? What about this character? And so the author's like, you know what? Fuck it. Okay, here's a script. Go write a novel, and they write a novel, and then it sells because it's just an offshoot of the main product. Doesn't tarnish the main product. It's just exploration of certain things. So I think that's what they want to do with this. I'm here for it. Why? Because I am a fan of what they established. So I wouldn't mind seeing more of Colin Farrell's Penguin. I wouldn't mind seeing the creepy crawlies in Arkham. I think it's interesting, and I think it would be more direct and more of a actual established universe than whatever the fuck we're getting with the DC. That's just why I would prefer it and would be fine with just forgetting about the Justice. Because they just forgot about Zack Snyder. They released the movie, they were like, fuck it, and then they're trying to do something else. And it's like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they want to do. It's like, it frustrates me as a DC fan because I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm sorry, but you guys dropped the Batman. Just focus on that.
I think I'm just entirely burnt out on everything in the media trying so hard to grab your attention
Well,
by
I mean, shout out to
interconnecting it.
Marvel.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, have you watched the new Loki TV show?
Yeah, we watched. I watched like one or three episodes. The problem with these Disney Plus shows, I we watched one. I thought it was two or three. Damn, it felt like two or three. But
So,
but
so like,
it's just I don't know. I just can't keep up with them. There's just a lot, and like
so
I'm sorry, like yeah,
I heard that the Loki TV show delved into a lot of time travel shenanigans, and
yeah,
it was gonna
yeah,
have like some callbacks to the old movies and stuff like that, right?
yeah. No, that's what I heard too.
And
I got had it spoiled. Yeah.
so I said, okay, it sounds to me like if I want to get the full experience of this, that I should probably watch the Marvel movies because I like some of the Marvel movies, and then I found out that I haven't watched the majority of them. Like I've never watched I've never watched
Wait, wait,
any of the
wait, wait,
cat.
wait, wait. List them, and then I'll tell you whether you need to watch them or not.
No, no, no. So I watched all of them.
Oh, oh,
Up until
oh, oh, never mind.
Black, like I haven't seen like Black Widow in the movies that came out
Same.
after that, but up to that point, like, so I haven't seen Shang-Chi or Eternals or anything like that. But
Oh, okay.
but when I was watching Loki originally, before I was gonna watch it,
Mm-hmm.
the only Marvel movies that I've seen so far were all the Iron Man movies,
Mm-hmm.
all the Avengers movies, and all the Guardians movies,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. I had never seen
Mm-hmm.
Captain America. I had never seen Ant-Man. I had never seen any of the Thor movies. I had never seen,
Interesting.
any of that. And I was just thinking, um,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much homework for me to watch this TV show that by the time I got to the end of my journey, I didn't want to watch Loki anymore. I stopped giving a shit.
That's so
You know what I mean?
sad. It's so
I I
true.
I stopped caring. I think I got to the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Um, which, do you remember anything of that movie?
No, that movie was trash.
There's multiple. So
It
the
was
way
hype
that
when I watched it
movie
the first time, but
the
that was
way that movie starts up. So do you remember the end of Iron Ant-Man, the original?
um wasn't it like they something with the quantum where they were like, "Oh, she's still alive, your mom's still alive," or some shit like that? Wasn't it something like that?
So
I don't.
specifically at the end of Ant-Man, Paul Rudd's character, I forgot his name already. And what's her face, the Wasp. I'm sorry, I don't remember any of these characters' names.
I don't remember the
Um,
names either. I'm sorry. It's fine. You're fine.
Paul Rudd and Wasp Lady are like, it's implied that they're gonna get together, right?
Yeah.
If I watch that, and then I watch Ant-Man 2, and then they're suddenly in a fight, and it's fine if that fight happened off
No,
screen,
you're so
but
true.
it's fine that that fight happened off screen. But the fact that they're kind of vaguely alluding to an event that actually happened, they kept talking about that fact that, oh, you should have called me when you were fighting on that airport in the whatever.
Civil
And I'm
War,
like,
yeah.
in any other given movie, that would have just been an offshoot, one piece of dialogue, like, oh, they must have been partners for a while, and then something happened, and they broke it off. But the fact that they kept referencing this made me think, I was like, oh, like, if I didn't know what they were talking about, I would feel like I'm missing something.
Mm-hmm.
The fact, it felt unwarranted, and it felt like needless drama to add. Because I know what happened, because I saw Civil War. If I never went and saw Civil War, I would just have to kind of assume that, oh, okay, I guess they're in a fight. I I just feel like this obsession of like of just
Well, everything
trying
is.
to grab your attention at every single moment of every single part of your day. Every waking moment, every piece of media you have to consume has to be this thing. Puts me off of it so much. It makes me so uninterested. Like if I go to the theater and I watch Batman 2 and suddenly Penguin has like a robot arm and he's got like, the Riddler is like got a giant brain, and Batman has like five different sidekicks that, all get introduced in a list because you should already know these characters because, well, God forbid you didn't watch the five different miniseries that sprouted off. Like, I hate the idea of like everything trying so hard to be a multiverse. Just come out with movie one, come out with movie two. Is it really that hard to contain yourself? Like,
No,
control,
I get it.
fucking control yourself. Just make a movie. It's 3 hours long. Make one movie and then make the second movie. I don't need to know about these characters that much. Like, it's fine if like these characters are interesting enough. Good. Put that in movie two. Don't make me have to go and watch a 6 episode limited series that I have to go watch over the course of 3 months. Because God forbid you just release them all at the same time. You gotta do it the way Disney does it, where it does every single week. I gotta plan out a Friday every single Friday.
Yeah, that's
And if I
my
don't watch
issue
it that
with
Friday, Saturday
it.
morning, it gets spoiled for me.
Yeah, that was my
Done
issue with
with
the
it.
shows, bro.
I'm absolutely done with it. I think that I'm so burnt out. The idea that everything has to like kind of, it's not enough for you to watch this one show. You have to be watching five other different shows and three movies and two comics, and also like it reminds me of um do you know of Nier at all?
Mirror?
Nier, Nier. Nier is a video game.
No, 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 no.
Nier is a video game, um, and it is a really really good video game. It's about robots. Nier Automata is it's
Uh-uh.
you might have heard of it. It's these
Called Nier?
white haired these they have like white hair and they're wearing like kind of like black like maid outfits basically. That's basically the most basic description if I can give you of the main characters. It's these white haired girls wearing like maid
Uh,
outfits,
okay. I just pulled it up.
right? So if you play the game, it goes into it's a very interesting story about the sanctity of life. It is about the idea of what is what is humanity, what is considered mortality. It deals with a lot of stuff like that, and it's actually a pretty philosophical um game.
Mm,
uh there are characters that are introduced in it that if you didn't do the research wouldn't know anything about. There's a character in that game called Anemone who just gives you quests and they just show up and she kind of vaguely talks about how there's a history between her and a different character in this world.
mm,
And you're playing the game and you might think, "Oh, I wonder if we're going to find any more about Anemone." No. Do you know where Anemone's story lies in the world of Nier? It You had to watch um this Japanese exclusive stage play that went on for like 2 months. And if you didn't watch it,
you didn't know.
go fuck yourself. You don't know what happened. And
What?
I am so yes. There were
What?
two of them. There were two live stage plays. Oh, and also there was a there was a limited edition art book where they were detailing detailing some concept art,
Mm,
and some of the concept art came with like little side stories about them. And one of the side stories for when so Nier Automata is a sequel to the original game, Nier Replicant slash Nier Gestalt.
okay.
When they came out with art books for those, they had a limited edition art book for Near Gestalt slash Near Replicant, which was the PS3 360 game.
Okay.
And one of the limited edition uh, art books detailed the story of a robot that gained sentience, basically, and got so fed up with humanity that he had his own anti-robot uprising, and um, basically your main antagonist in the sequel game is from that one guy. But you would never have known that if you did not pre-order this exclusive art book of Nier, the collector's edition art book. Because that is the only that's the story only. I mean, of course, there's like fan scanlations and stuff like that, so it exists on the internet. But um, the fact that oh, you have to engage with the media this way, or else you don't get backstory for this thing. You know,
Mm.
I'm kind of fed up with like
But
um
the connection, yeah.
the just too many things grabbing your time. Like I can't devote my entire life to this one.
No, no one should. No one should.
I
You-
could barely last 3 hours as it is.
no, no, no.
I
I understand your point. No, I agree with it because I'm just on the Marvel side of it. That's where I'm at too. Exactly what you said. Like that's where I'm at. I just gave up.
Yeah,
Like
I'm done. I'm done. I don't think
I
I'm paying attention.
I'm not.
Phase 4 or 5, whatever.
I'm Amy just put Jared Leto erasure. But no, with the Marvel movies, I just gave up. Like I'm watching them like because like my friends are really into them and they're really into the connectivity of it, and
Mm-hmm.
good for them for being in tune with what's going on. And they would ask me because I'm the comic book guy of the group, and I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. No, that's not. But I would have to hold back because in my head I'm like, this movie is shit. But I didn't want to say it because I was like, listen, man, it's just not gonna be the comic books anymore, dude. It's just, but you guys don't even read the comic books, so it's fine for you. I get it.
Exactly, yeah.
But for me, it's like even just the comic, even just film. Being a film nerd sucks as well because I look at technical stuff and I look at like the director of photographies and like stuff like that. And like a lot of my favorite movies, I talk about all those things. And I can't name you a single thing of any Marvel movie except for the original Iron Man that has anything to do with any of it. Like the Spider-Man movies, the ones we got. Who's talking about John Watts? Who's talking about that man? His mother probably. No one's talking about that man. You know how many people are talking about Matt Reeves for this movie? Like it's just you could put any direct. It's just it just kind of like I have to hold myself back from being like that cynical. So
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of go in for the ride, and if I enjoy it, I'm just gonna be like I enjoyed it. But I'm not gonna critically say anything because I know there's a hive mind right now with a lot of people where they go in and it's just hype. It's
Yeah.
just hype.
Yeah.
It's just hype. And this is weird because this is a culture that's existed in clothing for the longest time. In clothing, I remember in high school, it was just hype, hype, hype. Oh, you're wearing the hundreds? Oh, you think you're rich now? And I was just like, what? No, I just thought the fucking shirt was cool. I didn't know there's hype
Uh-huh.
around it. What the fuck is You know what I mean? It's like that's how I
Mm-hmm.
feel now with these Marvel movies. And it's weird. And I don't like it because I'm like, it doesn't need to be like this. Like I don't understand this. That's why when that's why I would rather give up all of that other stuff and just that was my point. Is like I'd rather focus on this because I just enjoyed the Batman. I don't mind seeing extra stuff for it because if it's just that, then at least it's just that. Then I don't have to focus on anything else because I'm done with like if there's like a thing that like oh hey that's connected with that or whatever in Marvel, I'm just like that's cool, that's neat, but that's it. Like I'm just like I can't really I don't know. Am I supposed to be am I supposed to be crying because a character said another character's name? Am I supposed to be like there's no emotional attachment there for me because that character's not established in this movie. There's
Uh,
no like I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But sometimes like people like geek out over some shit and I'm like, "Where were you when the comic book was dying?" Like Moon Knight, everybody's talking about this show Moon Knight and they're talking about, "Oh, it's going to be the next best Marvel show. It's going to be amazing." And I'm like, how many of you watched Daredevil? No one watched Daredevil. That's the best Marvel show anyone's ever gonna watch. If there's only one Marvel show I recommend to anyone who ever wants to watch a Marvel show, it's fucking Daredevil and the Punisher. The amount
mm.
of freedom they got with Netflix, thank God they got it. It was the best decision but I'm scared for Moon Knight because I'm like I know Kevin Feige said we want to make it dark. We want to make it what it needs to be for because of the source material. But I don't think they're going to go there. I just really don't. And I that's my fear for it because it's like that's basically your Batman. And if you don't let him be that, I'm just not into it. That's why like people are like, "Why aren't you excited about that?" And I'm like, "Am I supposed to be?" Like I don't understand like I'm as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't look that interesting to me. It's just a white
They're
Batman.
gonna go dark, but the D in the word dark is like the Disney D
Yeah, that's what I mean.
with the Mickey Mouse ears.
Yeah. It's like okay. I get it. And if they do it like claps on them, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
I
I get it. Everything is just it is exhausting, dude. Like it really is. Like it's one thing to read a book, but to like follow like a movie and stuff like that, it's another thing now. It's become a lot the a different thing than I thought was going to happen with like these movies. I really
I
did. I
just
wasn't
don't want to
expecting
have to
this.
do homework just to watch a movie.
No, and you shouldn't. Like that's the thing because a movie should be contained.
Like like just to veer off from like Batman. I like No Way Home.
Mhm.
But if you weren't in love with any of the previous Spider-Man
No, that's what I'm
movies,
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
who is who like like so many so many moments where I just went, "Oh shit. Oh man, it's only because I've watched those movies." But in the context of somebody who didn't interact with any of those Spider-Man movies, say like they only got into the Marvel movies, like even if they only watched like Iron Man 1
Mhm.
and they started watching the Marvel movies from there, and they
Mhm.
get up to here and they start introducing these characters, and then everybody in the theater is clapping, and they're just like, "Who is this man? Why do we care?
Yeah.
I'm something of a scientist myself. Why did everybody laugh at that? That's not funny."
Yeah.
Why is that funny? But you know, because that's only because everybody else in the audience did their homework and watched those other movies, and
Yeah.
I it should be a fun experience to watch a movie. It shouldn't have to feel like a chore.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the part of it where I looked back on No Way Home and I ignored that side of my brain, dude. I had to. Otherwise, I wasn't gonna enjoy the movie. Because if I all I did was just focus on that,
yeah, no,
then I'd just be like, "Fucking hell, this movie."
leave your brain at home and
But
enjoy the film.
that's what I did the first time. But then I kept watching it and I watching it, and I'm like, okay, the movie's actually like for all the Spider-Man movies, it's actually the best one. Like the modern ones, not of all time, not of all time, but for the modern ones, because everybody would keep saying, like even with this Batman, everybody keeps going off a hype, and they're like, "This is the best one." Ah, shut up. But the No Way Home for the modern ones, for me personally, it was the best one. Like film wise, it just felt like the best one. It
I
did
like the
lean
last
heavy
10 minutes
towards
of the movie.
nostalgia, but what was that? I'm sorry. I feel like I talked
I
over.
I like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
You didn't like the rest of it?
I like the movie, but I think the part that sold it for me as a good movie was the last 10 minutes of it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, okay, okay, I see what you mean.
Like
Yeah,
it's
no, I
fine,
see what you mean.
but I feel like if it wasn't for those last bit, I'd probably be like, all right, that's a good Spider-Man movie. But
Yeah,
the fact that it gets you to a point where I'm just like, I'm actually interested in the development of this character. I'm like, there you go. That's
yeah.
fine.
And I'm still
There
torn
you
by
go.
it because I'm like, where was this when at the beginning of the story?
It's cool because they got both of like I didn't realize this at the time, but they got both of like two of the most infamous moments in Spider-Man comic book history in No Way Home, which is the Clone Saga, kind of, and
Oh yeah, you're right.
and also Spider-Man's deal with is it Mephisto or the Devil to forget for his marriage to Mary Jane.
Yeah, yes,
It wa-
yes. I don't remember if it was
it was a
Mephisto,
time
but I think it was Mephisto.
it was a time in the comic book where like Spider-Man was getting so popular, but the character was so developed that Marvel was worried that people weren't relating to a
They
married man
fucked up.
anymore. And so yeah, so the writer at the time or the director or whoever was in charge at the time said, "No, he's not being relatable. Have him take away his marriage.
Yeah,
That way he can be a single guy again."
yeah.
And they put him back there.
God, I
And
remember that.
they took away the Stark suits to boot. I was like, "Oh, perfect. Get it out. Get it out. No more Spider Stark. Get it out."
And that's funny because in the comic books, it just ended up creating this fucking convoluted shit. But in the movies, it worked.
Yeah. See? They fixed it.
It fixed it because it
They
course
were
correct. That's what I remember telling Steph. I was like, I think they're gonna course correct this shit because everything that I'm complaining about, I swear they gotta fix that shit, and they did. They had because for better or for worse, I rewatched those Spider-Man movies before I watched No Way Home. They're
Mhm.
okay. Homecoming the
Mhm.
best out of the two, but they're hell. They're very hard movies to talk about because they don't to me feel 100%. I can't confidently say they're 100% Spider-Man. I don't know how to explain it, but there's something
No,
about it that it just
I
doesn't feel like my Spider-Man. I don't know
no,
what it is.
I can explain it because if you look at like look up the poster for Iron Man, who's on the cover.
Well, yeah, Iron Man.
If you look up a poster for Captain America, who's gonna be on the poster? What about for Winter Soldier? Who's gonna be on the poster for Captain
No,
America and
yeah,
Winter Soldier?
yeah,
Who's on the poster for Spider-Man Homecoming? It's gonna be Spider-Man, but also Iron
Iron
Man.
Man. Yeah,
Who's
I
gonna be on the
mean
poster for Far From Home? It's Spider-Man and
Iron Man. Yeah,
no Mysterio for Far From Home.
but he was still
Uh,
technically in the fucking movie. He's
sure,
like,
sure, sure.
my father's dead, and it's like that's not your
Um,
daddy, boy.
and then even in No Way Home, I think Tom Holland actually spoke out on that, where he was like, I feel like I'm doing these Spider-Man movies, but I feel like I'm never the central focus of it. Like I've never had like a solo movie. It feels like
It's because
as
he let
Spider-Man.
Robert Downey Jr. into his life. No disrespect to Robert Downey Jr., but I like Civil War as a movie. But originally, if people remember, the Russo brothers had no plans of having Robert Downey Jr. in there. They wanted it to be a Captain America movie sold through. But Robert
Civil
Downey,
War
huh? Yeah, because
for Civil
it
War.
wasn't going to be called Civil War. They were
What
gonna
was it gonna be?
it was just going to be like a continuation of Captain America's movie. But
Interesting.
they scrapped everything because Robert Downey Jr. said, "I have a better idea," and they did Civil War. But the problem was he asked for more money, and that's where I said I drew the line with the whole Marvel thing because I said this shit shouldn't be about him. I know that he's the first guy, but I don't understand why every if you look back on the whole of Marvel universe up to Endgame, it's
Hmm.
Iron. You're right. Like it's Iron Man's story. His story ends by killing himself. Like it's his story. Like he's the main hero, and it pisses me off because it's like he shouldn't be that person for Spider-Man. What happened to Uncle Ben? I don't understand. Okay, I'm gonna go on a little bit of rant. I don't understand what happened to my boy Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben, he existed, and then all of a sudden Aunt May was like, "No, I like Happy. He kind of cute. What's up?" And then he's like, "You know what? I'm not ready for you, Happy, because why? Say it, Aunt May. Say it. Like fucking shit, dude." It's like why is Uncle Ben? I get it. You don't have to show him dying, but it's just like this Batman movie. It's like you don't have to show the death of his parents, but you can at least still have that trauma. It's the same thing with Peter. It's like I don't understand why is Uncle Ben not a big part of him as a character. Why is this guy with the fucking Iron Man suit who has nothing to do with him more important to him than his own uncle who was his father figure? I just
I'll chalk that up to maybe in this interpretation of Spider-Man, Big Ben or Big Ben,
Big Ben.
Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben was not such a big deal in
Hashtag
his
Big Ben.
life as it was. Hashtag Big Uncle Ben. Um, I I
I
I feel
get it,
like
but
I'll chalk that up to because it happened off screen. Maybe it didn't matter to him as much, right? Not to
yeah.
say that maybe not to say that Uncle Ben was a deadbeat, but maybe he was just Uncle
Maybe he
Ben.
was though. Maybe that's why that's their explanation to it. I don't know.
I mean, I hope that whatever Spider-Man movie happens doesn't start up with a nightmare that Peter's having of Uncle Ben dying
No,
because
well
they need
now
to
it would feel
just
weird.
because they need to have the scene in it.
No, no, no. Well now it would feel weird because they already established him without that. So now
Uh,
it would feel weird. But
yeah.
it the it it's because the way I explained it to Steph because she did completely 100% understand what I meant by like it just didn't feel like my Spider Man because she was like I like the Spider Man movies, but I guess I came back to like the core of it, and the core of Spider Man to me is always like you go if you go to the core of Batman, it's like it is the death of his parents, okay, like it is what it is, but then you can explore the trauma after that. You don't, it's something else. It grows into something else, and but with Spider-Man, it was always with great power comes great responsibility.
Mhm.
My problem was he kind of said it in Civil War when he was talking to Tony and Tony was recruiting him. He was kind of talking and mentioning almost like Uncle Ben was recently passed. And my
Yeah.
problem then after is because you can't have that conversation and then decide Uncle Ben doesn't exist. When Peter mentions, I just don't like it just pisses me off because it's like that's the core of Peter. He goes through a vigilante phase after Uncle Ben dies. Why? Because he's so fucking pissed that Uncle Ben died. He had that vigilante phase in No Way Home. Great. But it's like it's part of him becoming Spider-Man because he goes through a vigilante phase and then it's just I don't know. I was just like, there's something missing. I'm like, oh, you know what was missing? This should have been Miles Morales. It should have been fucking Miles. Why is he white? He should have just been black. Just fuck it. You have his friend. Fuck it. Why is it Peter? Make it Miles. Fuck it. It's just I don't
Oh
understand. You give
man.
everything that has to do with Miles Morales except make it about Miles. It's like I feel like I mentioned this to you a long time ago before, but it just still pisses me off.
I think the fact that they gave him I think the fact that they gave him in Far From Home they gave him the black and red suit
Bro,
which fine. You could argue
but
that it's a
toys.
callback to the original version of the Spider-Man suit, which the original Spider-Man suit was never blue. It was supposed to be black.
Yeah.
Um, because of comic book colors, they had to put blue in it, so people just kind of interpret it as blue instead of black, right? Kind of like how you get the blue cape Batman. That's fine, but You know, like there is something to say about the fact that, oh, we have all these cool traits from this one character. We could just steal it and take it, give it to.
Literally, though. It was bothering me that nobody else was talking about it though, because I remember coming out of Homecoming and I was like, "Wait a minute!" Like that kid, you know, that kid in the commercial where he's like, "Wait
Yeah,
a
yeah,
minute!" That was me.
yeah.
I was like, "Wait a minute!
Like,
You're Miles Morales."
like, like Ned.
Yeah,
Ned, you mean the Hobgoblin?
yeah. I
Like,
was like, okay, whatever. But I don't know. It's just, yeah,
who knows? He might be. Jacob, Jason or Jacob Batalon
yeah,
is ripped now. I don't know if you've seen a picture of him lately.
yeah. He is.
He's
I mean,
yoked.
there was like rumors that he was gonna be in No Way Home. There was like people saying like, oh yeah, he's gonna like Willem Dafoe is gonna like pass the baton or some shit, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, that's a lot to put in a movie, but all right, I guess we'll see. But
Yeah.
luckily it wasn't in there. But I don't know. I mean, I guess they kind of joke around about it when he's like, oh, did you guys have best friends? And they were all Andrew and Toby were both like, yeah, they turned evil. And he was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought it was funny as a joke, but there was a part of me that was like, "Actually, no, don't do that." There was a part of me that was like, "I actually don't want
Yeah.
that," because now it doesn't actually make sense, to be honest.
Mhm.
What makes sense if they wanted to do is have Peter meet Eddie. I feel like that would make more sense. Have
I think
that
they're going
friendship
symbiote
build.
for the next one, right?
Yeah,
I'm
they
pretty
could.
sure they're going symbiote for the next one.
Yeah, but I think they have to build that relationship because right now I mean, who does Peter have? He has to go back and tell MJ, hey, But I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, they might do something with the fact that Ned doesn't know who Peter is anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
They
They
might do
could.
something about
That's
that.
true. They could.
He becomes a villain and they become rivals instead of
That's
like best friends.
true. That's true. I didn't even think about it. That's the logical way of thinking about it. You're right. Look
They
at you,
fixed it.
Kevin Feige. Look at you,
They
Kevin
course
Feige.
corrected it. When I think of Spider-Man, I think of specifically the brown brick wall outside of his fire escape and him listening to the police scanner, which is exactly the same exact scene that I got. I'm like, okay, fine, perfect, that's it.
Yeah, he's supposed to
The
be your.
movie could have just been that. It could have just been me with $10 tickets, walk in, show up, and it's just that part. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't need to know anything else. That's all I got. It's fine. I walk out of the theater, I'd be fine.
Because he was
It's
supposed
10.
to be your friendly
Yeah.
neighborhood guy. He
Yeah, it'd
wasn't
be 10 minutes
supposed to
instead of
be.
3 hours.
That's funny. Was it 3 hours? Or was it just under 3 hours? I don't remember the
Uh,
runtime for No Way Home.
I'm talking about the Batman, where it's like
Oh,
3 hours.
Batman. Oh shit! My brain was still going on Spider Man. I was like, wait,
um,
what?
instead of 3 hour movie.
You
But
prefer the 10 minutes of Spider Man?
yeah, give me the Cliff's Notes.
The
I
cliff.
should I should be able to pay for a cheaper movie where they just fast forward through the whole thing.
Well, you could now HBO Max. I mean, you
Can
could.
you give me like
I mean,
give me like a $5
you didn't
ticket,
have
right?
to go watch it.
Give me
To
like
be
give me like a
fair.
$5 ticket. No, I like this experience better. Give me like a $5 ticket to go to the movie theater, and it'll be like a regular it'd be like a regular auditorium,
Yeah.
except whoever's playing the reel is playing it at like twice the speed.
Wait, no, but they start out the movie like for a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, hold on," and then they speed
Yeah,
up
yeah, yeah,
everything,
yeah, 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 yeah. Or it just gets progressively faster and faster as
and
it
they're like, "Oh,
goes
this is a
on.
good part. Stop."
Yeah, 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 yeah. Just do
Oh,
that.
the
I would
chasing.
gladly play. I would watch twice as many movies statistically if I did that.
Well, you could have actually caught up with everything Marvel and not hated
Yeah,
Loki.
yeah, exactly. If I pl-
Oh my
if I was playing 4 different Marvel movies at the same time at 2 times speed,
god.
I would have probably not been burnt out. I'd be like, all right, I'm so ready to watch Loki. But no, instead I had to watch like 22 films.
No, fuck that.
So
There's so
so
many
if Matt
movies of
so if
those that
Matt
I watched that
Reeves
I'm like, I don't think I needed to watch those. I don't
so
think.
so if Matt Reeves is saying that he wants to go for a whole Batman cinematic universe, This is me tapping out.
Oh no.
I I am I am uninterested. I
Fair,
don't want
fair
to
enough.
know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. The Penguin, if you like you come out with like a limited series, oh Cobblepot coming to the CW. I don't care. I don't care.
No, they
I
wouldn't do a
I, I
CW though. But
okay. They do HBO Max.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, they gotta fill the airtime now that Euphoria's off season, I guess.
I don't want to talk about Euphoria. I
We don't
have
have to.
I have someone
Has
here who
nothing to do.
likes Euphoria, and I don't want to upset her.
Oh, I mean,
She
I
said, "Talk
mean,
about it." She said, "Try me."
talk about it. Oh boy.
I just thought it was mid. I thought the whole show was mid. I'm sorry. I just, I,
I think I
I
think
just.
season 1 was excellent. I think season 2 I think season 2 felt like they were on drugs. The writers. I think, but but that's fine. I think that um yeah, I just wish they didn't tease the Joker at the end of the Batman.
No, listen, man. I can understand. I really can because how many we got? Like technically two in the span of less. I mean, it felt like they were back to back, and
Joaquin Phoenix and Jared Leto.
yeah, and it's like,
Who's this guy? I don't even know this guy.
oh, the actor,
Yeah.
Barry Cregan, I think is his name or some shit,
Uh-huh.
something like that.
Oh,
But
I thought it was another J name.
that would have been funny.
Get it? It's the
Damn it.
Joker.
No, but Heath Ledger though.
Ooh.
Dun dun dun.
Mm. Mm mm.
He broke. No, that's true because Jack Nicholson though. Jack was a J name. But I don't know. I mean, I just think they could do something in the sequel where it's also kind of like the same thing where you include more than one character and it could just still work, type of thing. They could go so many routes. It like I they could do so many things. So I don't know what exactly they want to do. I could tell you what I want to see, but whether that's actually going to be a thing or not, I don't know. I mean, Matt Reeves has to pick up some books or just pick up or just look at a pinpoint something and say, but like, you know what, I want to do that, and they'll figure it out from there.
Just do
But
Arkham Asylum as a movie.
they could because I think they were going to do a Gotham show, like a Gotham PD, like a based on the cops and how crooked they
They
were
did.
and how Jim was going to be the basically the savior, kind of.
Yeah,
But
isn't that what the Gotham TV show was about? Am I wrong?
no, you're not wrong.
It's just bad.
It's not.
Do it again.
Yeah, that's basically what
Gotham
people were.
Brotherhood. Gotham Brotherhood. Is
Well,
that what we want?
When Gotham first started, listen, when
Uh
Gotham first started, I was into it because Gotham, right?
huh.
The problem arose when they started bringing in characters that had ties with Batman when Batman was becoming Batman, and
I heard they introduced like 3 different Jokers.
that, and it's just a lot of stuff where I was just like, what the freak is happening? And I was like, okay, yeah, I just have to accept that this isn't. This is basically Marvel's Spider-Man. Like this was something else. Like it was just something completely different. I just dropped it though because I'm like, that's just not for me, Like, but I get it. People were
Do you think
saying
you'd ever
it's
go back
it's
to it?
good, huh?
Do you think you'd ever go back to it? Do you know how it
Maybe,
ends?
maybe, maybe just to give it a try. The problem is it's just they kept for like the release of episodes and stuff, they kept talking about how like comic accurate they were gonna be. And I was like, well, you can't be comic accurate and have these characters exist without like I don't know. It was my problem with Venom 2 where I was just like, all right, all right, whatever. But I don't know. I get the general audience though. They watched it and they were like, it was not terrible. And I was like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And like Batman shows up at the very end, spoilers, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was gonna say like the very last like out of context of the whole series, I like that the very last shot is you see him.
Hmm. Hmm.
It felt like what they were originally trying to do with Smallville,
Yeah,
which I don't know if you know what the original pitch for the end of the show was
no.
Clark. The original ending for Smallville was supposed to be Clark lifting his feet off the ground. And he just it's like a shot of his feet and he
Uh,
just lifts off the ground and then cut. And that will be the very last scene. But no. No,
What did they do?
now you gotta do, huh?
What did they
They
do?
kept going. They kept going.
Oh,
They just kept going.
oh,
It
yeah.
got too popular. They just kept going.
Well, that's what CW. That's the problem. You got fans, and that's why Supernatural's outlived its. Well, now it's done, but
Now it's dead. They could still
but
bring it back.
you know,
Futurama's died twice. It's back again.
I I don't want Futurama to come back.
It's back. Too late. You have no choice. It's
He
back. There's
said
no
too
bend.
late.
Too
Plot
late.
twist. I
There's
can't. I'm disconnecting myself from everything.
it's Futurama's back and there's no Bender.
No,
But
apparently they're bringing the Bender Gate is over. Apparently he's coming back.
oh, is he actually gonna come
Yeah,
back? With
apparently.
pay raises for everybody or just for him?
I don't know. I don't know the details of it. I would
I
hope
know
that
John.
him coming out would mean like pay raises for
Everybody else
everyone,
has.
but
Yeah, I
we'll
think
see.
that was John DiMaggio's thing was like, okay, I need to get paid more, and so does everybody else.
Which I don't understand why they were trying to paint him like a bad person for that. Like,
I think it just got misconstrued as he was asking for a pay raise for himself.
oh,
But I think he meant that, listen,
if
this
they're
is
gonna bring the show up,
Futurama.
yeah,
If you're gonna bring it back, you need to pay me this much. And in
yeah.
fact, you should be paying everybody this much. And if you're not, then you're undercutting everybody, which means I don't want to be part of it. Which is fine, you know?
Hmm.
Because that's exactly what the cast of Friends did
Oh,
with
really? Oh, that's what
with
the
David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston were getting paid more, and then they said, "Hey," they talked to everybody. They talked to Matt LeBlanc and Courtney Cox and everybody, and it was like, "We should all be getting pay raises, or
yeah.
we all walk, or we all walk." And they said, "Okay, fine." So they all got pay raises.
I
Solid
that's got,
solidarity.
yeah. You have to do it that way, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
But it's back from the dead. It's
Eh.
too late.
Eh, I don't know why we are always bringing shit back. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, I don't. What happened to creating original shit? Like, it's still. I mean, well, to be fair, there are still original shows being made. That would be a disservice to original shows being made. I take that back.
It's so much easier to not. It's so much easier this way. That's why.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
But
Well, is there any other nitpicks or anything else that you want to talk about?